on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:36 on this Thursday morning in your nation's capital, and we are rolling along here on our post-debate coverage. I'm live in Milwaukee, Larry O'Connor, and Patrice Onwuka is
holding it down in D.C.
Yes, keeping everything in order and keeping everyone in their place. Coming up at 7:05, Link Lawrence. He's a social media influencer. This guy reports news to millennials and actually really more Gen Zers. You know how Gen Z gets all their news from social media? Well, Link Lawrence, one of the people who delivers that news. We're going to ask him about who had the most viral moments, because this guy knows about viral moments.
Yeah, okay.
7:35, Carrie Lake is going to join us. At 8:05, Governor Scott Walker, who's sort of the host of this entire extravaganza, will be with us. And then at 8:35, Sean Spicer. That's all coming up. So last night, as I said, I'm in Milwaukee. I participated actually with some pre-debate events with Young America's Foundation. It was great. And got to speak with a lot of congressmen on stage for the young voters, the Young America's Foundation types. Kevin Roberts of Heritage was here as well. We did a whole. It was called a block party. It was very cool, very cool staging and everything.
90s-ish.
And then, but I'm also here, obviously, as a member of the media. And so after the debate, I went back into the media filing center in the spin room. And I tried to grab it. We've already heard some of my interviews earlier this morning with Congresswoman Kat Cammack, a little bit from Donald Trump Jr. We just heard from Matt Gaetz. Here's Congressman Chip Roy of Texas, who was there on behalf of Governor Ron DeSantis. Take a listen.
And the governor was very emphatic about that. And we don't need to be looking backwards. We need to be looking forwards. He was talking directly to the American people as somebody who's a blue-collar kid, as someone who has worked himself up, saw his family, what they had to go through, and now he's looking at hardworking families struggling, and we're sitting around going through all the drama you saw bouncing around that stage. Meanwhile, he's focusing right on the American people and leading, and I think that's what we saw.
The
Yes,
governor
ma'am.
only got the fourth most speaking time on stage tonight. Did he do enough to take his campaign out of second place?
Absolutely. You don't need quantity of minutes to demonstrate leadership, and the governor demonstrated very clear leadership. He has a vision. He has a track record of success. He didn't get caught up in all the drama and the noise and the people who wanted to sort of, try to steal with some sort of soundbite. He just stayed focused on the mission. He used the word mission multiple times. As somebody who went over and served his country in the Middle East, he demonstrated his commitment to the mission, and he demonstrated why I think he is the guy that you want sitting behind the resolute desk making tough decisions.
Were you surprised that he didn't face, as many attacks as maybe, the Never Back Down Super PAC had anticipated in those memos? The attacks, did seem to go for the background as well.
You guys are caught up about memos more than the American people are. The American people are caught up about inflation, jobs, open borders, what's happening in Ukraine. No, not really. Well, I mean, I don't know why would you go attack Ron DeSantis if you're a Republican on the stage running for president? The guy's got a better track record than anybody in, frankly, modern history as a governor. I mean, attacking him would be a foolish path to take. Meanwhile, when you set yourself up to be attacked, as maybe I think a few people did on the stage, they're going to come after you.
Like Ramaswamy, for example?
Well, I mean, I'll let the American people judge that. But I mean, he certainly demonstrated, I think, a certain level of naivety that I think kind of shined. And look, but
a lot of the candidates seemed really annoyed with it.
Well, that's all part of the noise of what happened on the debate stage. There was one candidate who I think rose above that and demonstrated leadership and was speaking directly to the American people about the issues they actually care about, the policies they care about. As he said, it is a time for choosing, and we've got to choose, the right path for this country. We got to choose to secure our country. Without security, you don't have freedom. We got to choose freedom. Without freedom, you're not going to have prosperity. He's been doing that as governor, and I think the country is ready to choose Ron DeSantis.
Did he do anything to change his fundamental position in the polls right now? He's down 40 points.
Yeah, but the polls, I always love this, right? Go back and rewind the clips of Donald Trump about the polls in 2016. Go back and look at where Ted was in the numbers in 2016 right now with respect to Iowa and where he ended up in winning Iowa. There is a long stretch in front of us. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The governor's got a track record to demonstrate. Well, but he won Iowa, and it was a heck of a race right up through in Indiana, and this is a very different Donald Trump. And it's telling that Donald Trump wasn't here. And it's telling you Donald Trump's likely not going to be at the next one. And, when Brett Baer says the elephant not in the room, I think that means something. And, I was always taught you show up to work.
Congressman, you're passionate about the border.
Yeah.
Passionate about the investigations into President Biden. That didn't come up much tonight. Were you concerned that?
Well, the border came up a lot. The border came up a whole lot. I think the investigations with respect to the Department of Justice and some of the things on there, they got referenced some. But I think in part it's just time on the stage and how much time you have. I think that'll come up. There are significant concerns about it, and it was referenced by the candidates. But the border came up a ton. In fact, as I heard it all, I heard a whole lot of agreement across the stage on the need to stop spending money we don't have and on securing the border. That was a pretty much universal agreement across all 8 of the candidates.
Do you think Governor DeSantis made enough of a case as to why he's the choice over President Trump?
Yeah, I think he made a very clear case why he's the right candidate, right? You guys can go play all the stuff about him versus somebody else or whatever.
Well, the voters have to choose between them.
Well, they have to choose among the candidates, and Governor DeSantis was the one who showed up. He's the one who made the case here. He spoke to the American people, and he made it a very clear case for why his leadership in Florida is the kind of model the American people will want to see going forward. And he made a point about looking forward. We're not looking backwards, right? He said, we don't need to be focused on January 6, 2021. We need to be focused on January, whatever it is, 20th of 2025. We need to be looking forward.
All right, that was Chip Roy of Texas last night in the spin room. But Patrice, I love that. It's like, oh, you guys want to make it all about, DeSantis versus Trump. It's like, well, it's an election. Yes, that's exactly what this is about. We're supposed to be picking one guy over the other.
And those are the two leading contestants right now, right?
Yeah.
But I'm glad you asked about the border because, we didn't really hear much about the border. I heard Tim Scott say, I'm going to finish the wall.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much else.
There wasn't. DeSantis did have one very strong line about the border and how he will use the military if necessary to go after the drug traffickers and the human traffickers. It's also you could tell though that they had a message. All the people who were spinning for DeSantis, and I think it might. We'll see if people pick up on it. But he said, listen, DeSantis stayed above the fray. DeSantis didn't get bogged down. He wasn't trying to. He was being resolute. He was being presidential. And when everybody else on the stage was squabbling and getting into their little pissy fights, DeSantis didn't engage in that. He didn't get caught up in it. Maybe that's what it was, or maybe he just wasn't engaged in the debate much.
Well, and he also made the point that, listen, DeSantis outgoverned all the governors.
Yeah.
And he's the best governor that you've seen from a record standpoint of what he's been able to accomplish. And hands down, I don't think anybody could disagree with that assessment.
Well, there's one person who would disagree with that assessment.
Chris Christie?
No. It was the gentleman who gave an exclusive to Tucker Carlson last night instead of coming to Milwaukee.
I'm talking about governors, not presidents.
That'll drop. We'll talk about that coming up in just a bit.